Okay. Last post, because I'm freaking exhausted, but I just did a breathwork session with the lady downstairs that's been doing this for like a long time, like over 40 years, I guess. And she told me that supposedly she's like healed men of like being in a wheelchair, um, and women of like abuse and trauma, and it was like it was insane because she was touching me, and I remember the affirmation we were doing while she was touching me is I am safe, and I did not feel safe. And it was like I was angry. I was angry that I had established a boundary before not to be touched, and I was being touched. And I just have this, I mean, I've been abused so many times, like it's just a thing, you know? And anyway, I voiced it. I said, during the session, I said, would you mind not touching me? I'm so sorry, but I have a boundary and I really need I need this respected. And I don't want to be touched. I'm sorry. And so she took her hand away from me and we furthered on the session, which lasted maybe another 15 minutes. And I started crying. I cried. I overwhelmingly cried because I heard God say, see, that's something your mother could never do. See, my grandmother was a pastor, and I actually think she was more of a cult leader than what other people in my family think. And my mother was never able to discern that. And so we all got led astray by my grandmother. And I just remember as a child seeing my mother have to do every little thing that my grandma wanted her to do, and she would never be allowed to voice her frustration or question her policies or question her methods. And she just had to do what my grandma told her to do all the time. And this lady is so woo-woo and she's so out there, but grounded at the same time. So I knew that I was safe, but it's still, I don't trust just everybody. And it's a real trauma being around women who influence people using magic and not letting them express themselves or explain, like, this hurts, I don't want to do this, or I don't believe in that, or I disagree with you on this, you know? And that's something the church would never let me do. I was never allowed to question my grandmother and her religious practices. And in fact, at 16 years old, I got excommunicated from the church because I was satanic, they said. So I was basically the devil's spawn in the church, and they kicked me out, and I was glad to go. It was kind of a mutual thing, to be honest. But I never got to see my mom stick up for herself to a woman that was impressioning her, like in a very toxic, cultish way. And so with this lady touching me, I said, and very politely, I said, I'm so sorry. I can't have you touching me. I can't have you touching me. And it was like the boundary that I set for myself. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't embarrassed. And it was very bold, and it was just affirmative. It was very firm. It was like, this is the boundary. Please respect it. And I even said that. I said, please respect my boundary. And so she took her hands off me. And then at the end, she was like, well, I really wanted to put my here on your pressure point. Do you mind if I touch you now here? And I said, she's like, well, how about you touch you? And so I did, and it was fine. But I didn't realize what kind of trauma I had from church and why all women practitioners scare me. Why the fear that I have of being a cult leader is so ingrained in me. I refuse. I refuse to be a cult leader. I don't want an echo chamber. I only want people to be able to ask themselves questions. I only want people to really question things and discover and learn and explore. And I don't think that we all should just be pushing onto somebody our limitations and like, well, this is how this works and that's how this works. And it's like, let us go explore and let us try it ourselves, you know? And so for me, it was so life changing that I literally she got up because the next part of the session involved her using her gong. She has a huge gong and it is so loud. And I started convulsing, like crying, because I was just so proud of myself. I kept hearing God say, "Isn't it amazing? You did what your mother never could. You just drew a boundary with your grandmother. You just did what no one has ever been able to do." And so it's almost like, it's not that this woman's my grandmother. It's not even that she's toxic like my grandmother was. It's just that she represents right now that new age movement that I don't necessarily trust. Now, I love cards. I love tarot readings. I know what I know, but I don't know what she knows and how she acquired that knowledge. So right now I'm very distrusting. I don't trust anybody. Although I will say I definitely got something out of that session. Um it healed. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of movement happening. Um Energetically, my face started tingling and I was like, "What's this? What's this?" And she's like, "Oh, it's normal. That's actually supposed to start happening. It means that there's blockages and the energy needs to get removed from whatever part of your body starts tingling." And it was the nose and the mouth for me. And I think it's because of my job, what I do for a living. Everybody sees my nose and my mouth literally every day. And so I think there's so many projections made on my face that that's what was starting to clear out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, that was just a sampler. It was like a free thing that she does. She tries to introduce people to breath work, and it's kind of lovely, actually. I really did enjoy it. Um, I just, the one thing that I was never able to do was ever tell women, no, no, please don't touch me. I know you think it's good for your healing modality, but it makes me uncomfortable. I can heal without you touching me. And I know that that's like really kind of a lot maybe, and you guys are probably like, "Dude, it's just her laying her hand on you." Like, but I've been traumatized so many times. I've been abused by men my whole life. Like, I just had to put a man behind bars last year for assaulting me. So I don't like physical touch unless it's with somebody I absolutely trust, and I get the vibes. I understand vibes. I understand energy. And I think with women, especially women leaders who have made an entire empire using spiritual practices, my one concern is going to a practitioner who actually takes energy from you while you're in the session. Instead of giving of their own energy, they take yours and recycle it back to you. It's like they simply mimic your own energy. And this is one thing that concerns me about any spiritual leader. Like, is it emanating from an overabundance of their own energy? Are they giving of themselves to you as a servant of God? See, that's what the Most High God commands of us, that we are servants. We are to give, right? But like, my fear was that it would simply be mirrored. Like, the energy is mine and it's bouncing off of her as a mirror. And if that's the case, I might as well just heal my own self and not be physically touched because it made me uncomfortable. So this whole thing about abuse and trauma, it's coming up because it's a full moon tonight. But yeah, I was raised in a cult and I had to leave when I was 16. And about 5 years later, I had an out-of-body experience where I met God. And so seeing religion versus spirituality, it's mind-blowing. But I just want to ensure that the new earth is not filled with all of these practitioners that honestly are snake oil salesmen, and they teach you what they know, yes, but do they have empathy behind it? Do they have energy behind it? Do they have love and generosity behind it? Or is it something that they do or use to rope you into something? And I'm really trying to use my discernment and not just invest energy and time and money into people, places, and things that on the surface they look like they're knowledgeable, but deep down they're reflecting back to you just your own energy. You know what I mean? Same with men. Like when I get involved with men now, it's like, I'm going to give you time. I need to see, do you have your own energy or are you recycling mine? And then feeding it back to me like a mirror, you know? And so, anyway, I'm going to do some energy clearing because I really want to cut cords because I don't want to be attached to anybody. As I go on this journey, I don't want to be attached to people and I don't want people in my energy. I really don't. I really just don't. I don't like people in my bubble right now. I mean, I've gone from being a hermit for the last 15 years to going out into the world again. And I just don't want people like getting comfortable with taking from me energetically by touching me or forcing me to do something I don't want to do, you know? So far she's been respectful though. I mean, when I asked her to please stop, she did. So, I mean, I felt safe in that moment. I felt safe in that moment. It was like this overwhelming, and this is why I started crying, because it was this overwhelming, like, congratulations, Jenna. You just drew a boundary and watched as God protected you. You didn't feel safe, and you said, I'm sorry, please, this is my boundary, respect it. And she did, and she obliged, and it was just, there was no hate, there was no wow. Like that's what my grandmother would have done in the past. Like my grandmother, she would have been like, oh, wow, so rude. So, okay, all right. You know, you go suit yourself, like that kind of thing. But this woman was not like that at all. She was just like, okay, no problem. And breathe in deep. And it was just more like, thank you. Thank you for respecting that. You know? Because the traumas are so deep. And I've literally been in so many cults that, again, I don't know how I'm alive, to be honest. And so I can't even have a healer touch me without overreacting. And I have to start working on that. I have to start working on trust that, you know, God would have guided me here for a reason, not because she's some crook or criminal or like an energy thief or vampire, that when she touches me, she really does mean well and she means healing. But it's like, I just, it's like a pit bull that's been in a cage for the last 15 years. It's like, I've been abused and beaten every day. It's like, can you respect this boundary? And she did quickly. And after we got done, she's like, how do you feel? How do you feel? And I said, I feel like I just overcame something that no one ever has in my family. You were the first person to ever, when I asked, please don't touch me, you were the first person to ever respect that boundary. And I'm proud of myself for not being afraid to say it to you. Because when my mom would say it to my grandma, you know, like, oh, I can't do that. I don't think I can show up. And I'm sorry, I'm running late. We're busy. The kids got this and this. We can't show up to service. My grandma would retaliate. My grandma would get so offended and take it so personally that she would literally, as a narcissist, she would attack. And she'd be like, wow, okay, well, no problem. And she'd use silence as a punishment. She would use the silent treatment as punishment and ignore my mom, or it was such a traumatic thing. And I think my mom wanted to escape the cult just like I did, but she never really had the strength to do so like I did. And I'm just hoping that women find me leaving and they feel like they can do the same thing and then be reintroduced again to healing women. Because let's face it, this world, we've all been trafficked. We've all had some sort of violation occur as women. And we're going to need the healing. And we're going to need fellowship with women again. I mean, we're going to need a sisterhood. You know, we're going to need physical touch again. We're going to need energy exchange. We're going to need empathy. We're going to need boundaries. You know, we're not just going to be isolated for the rest of infinity and beyond, you know. We're supposed to be meeting our soul family. So I think as women, we're going to have to really look at, yes, while we were misled, led astray by a lot of these false prophets and wolves in sheep clothing in these cults and their husbands. I mean, let's be real. My grandpa was, I mean, he married her. So, I mean, it's like We're going to have to realize that we've been programmed to just do as I say and do it now. And as an independent woman, I want to tell women like that, how about instead I do what the fuck I want and you just watch now, you know? And in me voicing my concern and saying, I'm going to draw this boundary and I wish that you would respect it. She had no choice but to sit there and watch me love myself and do something that was very hard for most people, I'm assuming, to say to women in power. Like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want it. Sorry, but no thank you. No, you can't touch me. And honor that and respect that, you know? And I'm just so proud of myself. And I started crying. And then she said, okay, now with the gong beating, she was beating the gong. She said, okay, now tell yourself something you love about yourself in your head. And I just said, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of I am so proud of you. Look how beautiful you are. And the self-love that came from it, the self-love, it was like genuine love. It was, I cannot believe I'm falling in love with myself. Like, I really genuinely am loving myself. Even if no one else could, I love me. Like, truly love me unconditionally, no matter what. No matter what happened to me, no matter what violations occurred, no matter my circumstances, how I look, or anything wrong with me. Like, I love me genuinely. Genuinely. And it's like, it's so beautiful because I know I deserve that love back. And I'm just so grateful to be here. 36 years. It's like, damn, you would think by now I would have been loved enough, but I was by other people, but I couldn't love myself enough to receive their love for long periods of time, you know what I mean? So I didn't think that I was worthy of their love, so I'd push it away. Now I see I'm very much worthy of my own love, so I'm worthy of theirs too. It's beautiful. But anyway, tonight's a full moon, so I'm going to go, but I'm going to do some yoga. We got Kundalini yoga tonight at 7:30. So I'm going to go see how that goes as well. But anyway, it's a collective thing for the full moon. So anyway, I suspect I'll be crying a lot and probably journaling or meditating. I don't know. But it was really kind of incredible. And I felt God. Like I heard God so loudly in my own head. Like after the breath work, my face was tingling and I heard God saying, like, I'm so proud of you. Look what you've just done. Look how you did that and your mother never could. Your mother would have never been able to tell a woman like that, leave me alone, don't touch me. Especially in the middle of a service, because there would have been backlash or retaliation. And then I think what it is this wound of like, well, I hope that she doesn't blame me for the reason that this yoga isn't going right. Or I hope that she doesn't get angry at me about having a boundary. And it is like my grandmother used to punish my mom by saying things like, wow, okay, wow. She would make a big deal about a boundary instead of just understanding that boundaries are meant to be respected if you truly love that person. And I never got to witness it until tonight. And I'm so proud of myself. I made such a huge leap. I'm so excited. And I'm doing a lot of healing work right now because, well, it's needed. It's needed. I've been in so many covens and cults, and I've had witches and warlocks as friends and boyfriends, and like the things that these people have been doing to me. It's MK Ultra. It's got nothing on me. Like the shit that's been happening to me my entire life. I was basically sold into spiritual slavery. Now that I look at myself as an energy beacon, I see myself as an energizer bunny, and I'm like, I've literally been fueling these entire covens this entire time. Entire empires were built on my own energy, and now I'm giving it back to me and keeping it to myself until I trust somebody with it, you know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, I love you guys. Happy full moon. I hope you have a really healing, cleansing night. And thank you guys for supporting me. I love you so much. Bye.